Welcome everyone, welcome. You're listening to This Is Not What I Meant. I'm Anudeep Badyal, your host, and this is a commemorating episode. I will talk about a TV show and I will talk about what was that, my review of it. But before I get into that, I want to thank you for being my listener. And if you're new to this show, well, welcome to This Is Not What I Meant, as I said. And this is a safe space for nerding out about TV shows, anime, some anime, maybe a lot of anime. And This Is Not What I Meant has completed 2 years of being on air, of being my podcast where I just really talk in depth about TV shows. And I have had a lot of fun on this podcast, making this podcast. And I don't know how did these 2 years pass by, and it's really awesome how far I've come along. I was just listening to my first episode that was on Midnight Gospel, where I just took out my phone and just recorded and maybe edited on Audacity just for the gaps where I say for things like that. And my god, the accent, first of all, and then just no pacing. I know what I'm talking about, but it's not coherent and there's a lot of errors in it, but I just did that and I just posted it and it's still out there because you want to look back at stuff that you've posted initially and then see, oh, achha, ye sub, we've covered that up. So yeah, This Is Not What I Meant has completed 2 years of being a podcast by your host Anudeep Badyal, and I'm really happy about it. Yeah, I am very happy. I just don't... I don't know, how did this happen? Just with 2 seasons. So let's recap all of that a little bit, just a little bit. So with 2 seasons, This Is Not What I Meant has completed 2 years and with just 21 episodes. And that's very less for a podcast that's been on air and is still going on. Yeah, I'm not stopping this. This is not the end. Please, come on. I just love making episodes for this show, but not that much, right? I mean, I do love making episodes for this podcast, but it's not about the quantity that I'm able to handle. It's just each episode that I make, I put in a lot of research or effort into it. I make it a production wise. There are bonus episodes like this one where I, say things off the top of my head. But when it's about the scripted ones, it's an entire production. So if I talk about my favorite episode that I did, the initial episodes that I did, so Hitchhikers Guide to the Galaxy, it was, in my opinion, it was really well scripted. And when I look back on that, whenever I read that script again, it's a very precise review of what the book is about and why you should watch, read, and listen to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So each of my episodes, I think of them as a production, right? As a love letter to the show that I am making the episode on, because I want to talk about the little things that I noticed and little things that I picked up on, or any kind of BTS or stuff that has happened and just stuff that I find very wow, how do you relate that? In this world, everything influences each other a lot. So in that perspective, from that perspective, I've enjoyed making episodes for This Is Not What I Meant, and it take a lot of time, but I am still going on. It's a very slow race. It is 2 years and we only have 21 episodes, but we are being slow and steady. About being slow and steady, I want to cover up some highlights that This Is Not What I Meant has achieved. So we are officially present and been heard in over 50 countries in the world. Wow, 50 plus countries. And some of the countries I'm really? You're listening to my podcast there? And beach mein, the podcast got really famous somehow in the Arab countries, and 20% of my listenership was from there. So that was pretty interesting to know that my podcast reached their platform, Angami. So that was cool. Yeah. Yes, it's been great to know that we have over 1,000 streams and 1.5 listeners total all. And yeah, come on. People are listening to me talk like this. Hope it is fun for you to listen to my show. Now, on to the review. on to the review. Like, why is this commemorating episode clubbed in with a review of a TV show as well? Because this is not what I meant. Please, I'm gonna talk about a TV show, obviously. Like, I think things work out very well for me in this sense, because this TV show that I'm gonna talk about is on Netflix, and it is a science fiction show. And my first episode that made me want to start a podcast was The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is, in a sense, a science fiction book, right? I mean, it is a comedy book. I'm not gonna go into depth about that again. You can just listen to my episode on that, on Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and just listen to that, right? Why you should read that. Because it is an amazing book. It is an amazing book. And there is science fiction in it. It's not about science fiction in retrospect. It is a comedy. So yeah, I was watching this TV show, coming back to the TV show. So a new season, like third season of the show came out in May, like just a few days back on 20th May. The third season of Love, Death plus Robots came out. I had to watch it because I was getting intrigued. Like, why is this show getting a third season? Because I was off-put by the video game style characters and animation in it. I just do not enjoy that kind of animation, to be honest. I mean, in a video game it makes sense, you're controlling these characters, but as a animation format I do not enjoy that. So yeah, I did not watch it for this reason only, like just for the animation reason. I did not watch this show because I was like, mere ko nahi dekhna. But okay, just I glanced over the details for the show on Netflix, and I realized that this show has a lot of episodes, but all of them are like hardly 11 to 20 minutes. So easily bingeable. Point for that. Love, Death, Robots. Why this show? Like, why am I talking about this show on the anniversary of my podcast? Which is a very good question. I would love to answer you. So Love, Death plus Robots is an anthology series. Now, the thing with anthology series is that all of the episodes are standalone. Like, you can watch any episode from the list of episodes that are available. So, like, you would not feel like, oh my god, mere ko itna sara catch up karna padega to reach to third season. Maybe you can just like start off with the third season. So, again, with Black Mirror, it was the same thing. I later on realized, and Black Mirror is a great show, and I am looking forward to cover that on This Is Not What I Meant in the third season of This Is Not What I Meant, which is due to come out in July. Yeah, in July, the third season of This Is Not What I Meant will come out. Because I have like a couple of episodes that are unedited and I have to release that. And after that, maybe we'll get on to that. And yeah, oh my god, I just announced it very casually, right? Ki third season aane wala hai. This is not what I meant. There's going to be a lot of stuff. Like, we'll have mini episodes. Because I realized I'm very good with mini episodes, like with 10-15 minutes. And you'll listen to a 10-15 minute episode over like an hour of me just talking about a show in very great depth. I will still do like very in-depth episodes as well about TV shows if I do have the time, because I'm managing another podcast as well, which is What's on My Plate, and I talk about food science and history in it, and it's maza aa jata hai. Like that show is very well produced, like over this one, because I did that in a competition. Yeah, I mean, come on, like 2 saal mein I entered a competition for a podcast like across India, and I like came fourth in that, like all over India, like in top 10 mein mera 4th position podcast aaya. Like, can you imagine? And this is all because of this podcast. This is not what I meant. So I'm pretty glad like I started with this show. I'm detailing. So again, third season, This Is Not What I Meant, July. Mini episodes, Black Mirror. Coming back to Black Mirror. So I love Black Mirror, and as an anthology series, it's like an anthology series but live action. You can imagine Love, Death plus Robots as an anthology series which is animated, and it's kind of like a video game. So like if you play video games, you are just like love high intense animation like that, and you know it is almost real, but it is obviously an animation. And if you love Black Mirror, this show is for you. You have to watch it. Now on to writing, because I have to talk about the writing. So this show is kind of set up like it's a horror, science fiction, dystopian comedy. There are a lot of genres that they cover. And I'm just like basing off my opinion on the first episode that I watched. which was 3 robots. I was expecting it to be very gory. I mean, it is gory, but it wasn't sad. Because dystopian things make me very sad. And wow, like this is a full circle because even the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy was like, Earth gets destroyed in the first 10 pages of the book. And I thought, okay, that is dystopia, right? But no, it was super funny. The book was super funny. And this episode of Love, Death plus Robots was funny as hell. Because these 3 robots are there and they're just talking about humans and, you know, the remains of humans. Like, there are dead bodies, like skulls, skeletons everywhere. And they're talking about, you know, how they played basketball, what was the use of that. And there are cats and, like, iska kya kaam hai? And the thing that, like, I just loved was that they were describing normal things that we do in a very different way. And that was the comedic thing. Because in of itself, it is not funny the way they describe things, because if you put yourself in a robot's position who doesn't know what humans are like, or they don't know the disposition of humans. So if you describe something like, okay, tea is a leaf soup or something like that, like they used to drink leaf soup out of these vessels for some reason, like they put this leaf soup in their orifice, and then from their other orifice they just let out the like leaf soup. Like, what was that? They had like from one orifice to another orifice, it just passed and it just transformed from a leaf soup to a very bad smelling liquid. And this sounds funny because I'm talking about drinking tea and then peeing a couple of hours later. And because we are used to the fact that our bodies work this way, so if somebody else is describing it as very mechanical or something else like that, you will find it funny. And this is what I love. This reminded me a lot about The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, because Douglas Adams had this perspective, R.I.P. Douglas Adams, yeah. And he had this perspective of how things work or how things may seem to other species who don't know about us. So it's nice to look at yourself from a completely alien point of view to find humor in your life. And it brought me back to the book's message that, you know, your problems might be really big, but it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't fucking matter at all in like the grandest scheme of things. Like, your planet is orbiting some star and that's it. You're just like orbiting and you will die orbiting this stuff. And it is bleak, but it is also funny. It is funny, like it is dark humor. So Love, Death plus Robots, the first episode was like that. And as I was reading about the show, I realized that there are a lot of different genres. It might not be funny every time. So I'm excited to see that as well on Netflix. So this show is created by Tim Miller, who is the writer of the show. And this show is inspired by a 1980s movie called Heavy Metal, which was also an animated movie. So they were like, isko adapt karte hain. So Netflix ne uthaya ye kaam. They were like, hum movie nahi banate, hum series banate hain, which with like really small episodes for like 11 or 12 minutes, right? And it's easy to binge this show, but I did not binge. I watched this one and I thought I have to make a podcast. And here I am making a podcast on my show, which has completed 2 years. Yeah. I am smiling really wide right now. I'm just very happy. And yeah, that was it for Love, Death plus Robots and this episode of me combining this TV show review with my journey of the podcast as well. Like how I started the show, and you know, if you want me to go in depth with it, I will go in depth about that as well. But this is what it means to me, just to appreciate an artist's work, because that's what they want. Like anybody who's putting out some production or movie or TV show, like I don't know how many creators are listening to this. I don't know if Tim Miller for this show is going to listen to this podcast or not. But it's just, you know, you're appreciating by this. It's like a love letter, as I said, to whatever I watch. And I think this is what all creators want in return for putting out this work. That they want their viewers or listeners or people who just notice their art to just appreciate what they put out, like little things. And it just makes their day. Like, that's how life goes on. It's amazing. Recap करते हुए ये बात है कि third season of This Is Not What I Meant is gonna come out in July. And since I'm putting this on air, I have to release the unreleased 2 episodes of this show that I have recorded with guests. And those are long episodes, but you have to listen to because they're so amazing. They're so fun. So mini episodes are going to come out in July. And I'm also going to have bit of an original work on This Is Not What I Meant. Like, it's not going to be just TV reviews. I'm just going to experiment with some original writing of mine, and let's see how that goes. I'm really excited for that as well because I am into writing. It's just not sharing with people because I'm like, koi mere writing piece chura lega, but it's fine. Like, I have my own podcast. I'll just post it there. That would be like my promise to you. Like, I'm still gonna make episodes. And if you're new to the podcast, I'm sorry, right? I keep forgetting that maybe new people are going to listen to this show as well. I'm going to have like new listeners. Welcome. Thank you for listening to this episode. And do check out, I've done anime. I have done like really popular shows like The Office and Mad Men. I make it more popular in my head than I think it is. But yeah, Squid Game as well. I did Inventing Anna, Encanto. A lot of anime. We're talking Jujutsu Kaisen, Death Note, Tokyo Revengers, Dr. Stone, Kakegurui, Psychopaths, and history of anime, how did it start? And one of my favorite series that I did was about 90s and 2000s ke jo cartoon shows in India. We're talking about Shin-Chan, talking about Tom and Jerry, Phineas and Ferb, Dragon Tales, Powerpuff Girls, like Cartoon Network or Disney, like kuch bhi utha ke dekh lo, I have covered that all on my show. The series is called The Cartoon Network of Theories, and I was really happy when I came up with that. And that was like in December 2020, so we need to do an encore of that as well. So yeah, like I tell you, like all of this takes a lot of time to make because I listen to my episodes on repeat like after I post it because I'm just in awe of the research that I put in. It's a bit narcissistic, isn't it? But yeah, like I'm very glad. Yeah, so if you're new, I'll redirect you to those episodes. If you're an old listener, long time listener, you know what it is. I'm gonna wrap this episode up and you'll hear from me next time. Thank you for listening. Bye bye.